guys hear me okay? Let me know if you can hear my my voice and my guitar. Amy, you're joining us tonight. I told my wife I was going to come up and play some guitar, and I guess she got the notification that I'm doing a live stream. I am playing the guitar. Trying to get the hands warmed up here. A little bit cold. How's everyone doing tonight? Thought I'd jump on and jam and play and, answer questions, teach some stuff. Done this the last couple Saturdays. It's always a lot of fun connecting with you guys and everything. Let me know if you can hear and see me okay and everything. There we go. That might be a little bit better. All right, should we do some lessons? Should we do some improv? Should we do some requests before I get another copyright strike for playing 10 seconds of any song? Right now I'm using the Soldano plugin from Neural DSP. They have a cool warm and clean preset. It's really, really nice clean tone. I like the reverb on it. Has a nice space to it. I also like their crunch. I use this a lot when I'm teaching. It's just a nice overdrive kind of. I like that one. It's just this like dry overdrive that's really nice. Go back to the clean. I like the idea of Kiesel, but having a hard time taking the leap. Can I help? Yeah, I can absolutely help you take the leap for sure. Do it. With Kiesel, they have so many options on their builder that it can be hard to know what to pick and know what works and all that kind of stuff. But I honestly think with them, you can't go wrong. I seriously think like any combination of stuff, just, you know, everything works out and it always looks so beautiful and plays so beautifully and everything. So, each guitar I have has like some slightly different specs, but they're all amazing in their own. Yeah, I honestly don't think you can beat them. They're the only guitar company I would endorse, and I mean that. And I just absolutely love their instruments. Such a nice tone. What was your first guitar ever, and what was the first guitar you got yourself as like a success gift? Oh, that's a good question. Very first guitar ever was from my grandfather, Grandpa Jack, and he got me my first little acoustic, 3/4 size acoustic when I was like 8 years old. I think it was my 8th birthday, and he played guitar, still plays a little bit of guitar, and he showed me a couple chords and everything, which was awesome. And then I just took off from there and just loved it and just kept going. And then over the years when I was younger, I would buy a lot of like used guitars. You can get some really great options on the used market. Swap pickups and guitars that were a little more affordable to make them sound a bit better. Trying to think, yeah, mostly used guitars. The very first really nice guitar I had, I won because when I was 17, I won the North American Rock Guitar Competition in New York. And the sponsor of it was Gibson. And since I won, I got a Gibson Les Paul Supreme, which was insane and gorgeous guitar. I unfortunately and stupidly sold it, but the reason was that I needed some money to go to school because I had the amazing opportunity to go to Musicians Institute and needed some money to move there when I was 19, I believe. So I do regret selling that guitar because it was so beautiful and it would be one to have in the collection nowadays. But yeah, at the time you need it. You're young, you need some money, and it's an investment into my future. But beautiful guitar. And then I think to answer your question, the first guitar I got as kind of a success gift is when I bought the Jason Becker Numbers guitar from Kiesel. that was a treat yourself moment, and definitely a guitar I wanted to have in the collection because I love Jason so much and I love his music, and I wanted to pay homage to him in a little way like that. So I bought that guitar as kind of like a success gift, I would say. But not too many, super nice new guitars over the years. The only other new guitar I bought when I was, before content creation was an Ibanez 7 string, Prestige 7 string. And I, I'm trying to think when this was, but maybe like 2011 or something like that. And they weren't nearly as expensive as they are nowadays. But that was one of the few like brand new guitars that was really really nice to have at the time. Yeah, there's no Kiesel dealers. They sell direct, and that's also why you're able to get them at the prices that they sell because there's no middleman. Because when you think about it, getting an American-made custom shop guitar, their prices you can't beat them. Like go to any other custom shop from anyone, and you're paying more money for sure, and definitely not getting the same quality, and their turnaround is so quick. It's insane. It's impressive how fast they get their guitars out. Um, but yeah, that's you buy them direct, or you can find them used sometimes. Let's see what this question is. Hey man, in the first 3 years of learning guitar, I played only Igve stuff. Starting off strong. That's awesome though. And now I pick only moving my thumb. I can't play pure alternate picking Al Di Meola style, but I'm good at legato. Any tips? Are you asking for tips of like how to, do alternate picking in a more Al Di Meola style, like kind of use your wrist a little bit more, I assume. Um, it would be challenging, I'm not gonna lie, because you'd have to retrain the muscles. So it's not like learning alternate picking from the beginning or the first time. You have to like retrain your muscles to work in a different way. Um, and when it comes to fast alternate picking, whatever works for you. I'm a big believer of that. You don't have to be doing what I do, or you don't have to do what Igve does, or Al Di Meola, or anyone. Um, so yeah, don't be afraid to do things your own way, but it would be kind of like retraining. So either getting more of the wrist in there. When it comes to like the Igve approach, which is like the thumb and finger, I can't do that at all, like at all. I couldn't play anything like that. So it's a weird, not weird, but different approach to me, and it feels weird to me when I try it, but obviously it works for Igve, Mr. Malmsteen. I don't remember how that goes. Anyone recognize that bad cover of it? I don't remember it perfectly, but anyone recognize that at all? I remember this is like years ago trying that. You were close. Yeah, Black Star. Can you play Stairway to Heaven? I did Stairway a couple live streams ago, and then I got a copyright strike for it right afterwards, and the whole stream got demonetized and everything just because I played the Stairway solo. So I did play it in that live stream. You could go check it out in that live stream, but I don't want to ruin this live stream again doing Stairway. As much as I love the solo, it's one of my favorite solos of all time. Absolutely love that solo, but yeah, every time, no Stairway, denied. Oh, copyright, no. What's up, Richard? Thanks for joining, man. It's been a while. Richard used to take some lessons from me, but man, we should reconnect. That would be fun. I want to see what you're up to. The clean version. What does he do? Yeah, let's quickly check some tuning. Yeah, the requests are tough because then I get copyright issues afterwards. That one live stream that I did a bunch of requests, like it wasn't just Stairway, it was like a whole bunch of copyright issues afterwards. I'm surprised it's still live. Fun riff. I love that riff. It's so syncopated. Such an awesome riff. Nice. You have a Igve Fender custom shop with the scallop frets, I assume? I think I played one of those years ago, only like one time, and the scallop frets actually felt quite comfortable. It's like, it's kind of surprising. Yeah, it's kind of surprising how comfortable the scallop frets are to play. The pickups in this guitar are DiMarzio's Tone Zone and Air Norton in the neck. The Air Norton is just like, well, both of them are nice, but the Air Norton... It's just so smooth. I just love the tone of it. I don't know if it's like cold in here or not, but the tuning is... Let's see. All right, that should be better. Any advice on composing solos? All the ones I come up with sound the same. Yeah, so it's different as well if you're composing a solo versus like improvising a solo, because you can sit and really kind of work on ideas and try to come up with things that's even pushing your own boundaries. If you're always doing stuff that sounds the same to you, try to start the solo in a completely different way than you normally would. It can be a different scale, different part of the fretboard, even a different technique to implement. You could even start with the approach of like, what would so-and-so do? Any of your favorite players, you know, what would Slash do in this part? And that might get you thinking a little bit different than what you would typically do, or Angus Young, or, you know, just anyone that you like, right? It is very normal for all players to resort to the things they're most comfortable with. So I think a lot of us play what we're used to playing, right? Myself included. But it's part of the fun challenge of trying to get out of that and do something totally different. So, as an example with my students, I do this all the time where, say most guitar players, when they think of scales, they're usually thinking in a box, like a pentatonic box or a minor scale box or something like that. But get out of that by playing your scales across the fretboard. Just use one single string. So if you're in like G, right? That was all just one single string, just the third string, and then it also makes you think more creatively because you have to do interesting creative things to make that sound interesting without just going like. You have to try to make it sound more musical, a lot nicer than that. So you're going to incorporate bends and slides and hammer-ons and pull-offs and even for like faster little bits, like you could do. Again, it's all one single string, but it's a really good way to just break up what you normally do, right? Instead of being stuck in a box. And then, of course, any good ideas you come up with this method, you just add it to your normal repertoire. So if you are stuck in a box, and then you can also it just, again, gives you more ideas to play around with. Some great questions, by the way. That's why I love jumping on here with you guys. It's always a lot of fun. Yeah, don't be scared to make mistakes is absolutely amazing advice. I can't stress that enough. You know what? To be fair, it's kind of paraphrasing a Michael Jordan quote, but I used to say that to students, and I mean this in the most encouraging way. But when students would say, how'd you get so good? Or like, hey, how can you play that so well? Or something like that. To paraphrase the Michael Jordan quote, I used to say to them, like, keep in mind that the amount of time I've played the guitar, I have probably played more wrong notes than you've played notes. Like, for all the notes you've ever played on the guitar, I've probably played that many wrong notes over the years, right? And I mean that in an encouraging way, that's how you become good at something, is by, constantly trying things and trying it again and trying to get better. And these little kind of, fails is what gets you getting better, if that makes sense. Hopefully you know what I mean, but you don't get good at something without any sort of obstacles. So, I'm still making mistakes all the time, of course. Everyone does. But you don't stop, you don't quit, you just keep going and you try to get better every single day, every single week. Yeah, wrong notes just mean you're playing jazz. Absolutely. I used to make that joke that you just anything, like just any notes. It's like, ooh, nice jazz solo. If there's some jazz guys on on this chat, they're going to be pissed off. But just, I'm not too far off. Come on, it's not too far off. And I am kidding. I am kidding. Eugene, that's very kind of you, man. You don't have to do that. I appreciate that a lot. It's very kind of you, but you guys don't have to do that. But of course, I'm going to answer your question. Considered reading the book? Yes. Must insight into Eddie's personality and childhood influences. Yes, one of my students told me this. Alex Van Halen has a new book called Brothers, and he's writing about him and Eddie's relationship and life and everything. And I absolutely am going to read it. I'm almost like a little hesitant to just, it's kind of funny, but ever since Eddie passed away, he's just, it's very like sentimental, and it's very, I don't know. It's almost like it's still too soon, even though it's a couple years later. It's just like, it's weird to think that he's no longer with us. It's really weird. I was literally watching videos of Eddie tonight, talking about his Wolfgang guitars. Like, it doesn't feel real that he's not here anymore. And it's like reading books like that just makes it feel a bit more real. I don't know. This is just my weird personal take on it. Absolutely, I will read the book, but it's just, yeah, he holds such a special place in my heart that it's almost sad to read about it, now that he's gone, if that makes sense. Sorry, that must have been loud. Anyone know it, by the way? Do you know what I'm playing? Yeah, 316, of course. Love that song. It's so beautiful. Yeah. Good question. How difficult is it to play in other tunings other than drop D? So a drop tuning, of course, just in case you don't know, drop tuning, just your sixth string is tuned down. And even if it's tuned down a full step from the rest of the strings. Meaning even if you're in drop C or drop B or drop A, the relation of the notes is still the same, where the sixth string is a whole step lower than the other strings. Now that one's not too bad, and you can do, a lot of like cool riffs and stuff like that in drop tunings. Now open tunings is where it gets hard and where it gets weird, because literally everything you've learned on the guitar just goes away. So when you're in like open D tuning or open G tuning, what that's referring to is the tuning is tuned to the chord. So meaning open D tuning, when you strum it open, it sounds like a D chord. Or if you strum open G tuning open, it sounds like a G chord. Each of the strings is tuned to one of the notes of that chord, right? So there's so many great songs, Old Zeppelin and Tragically Hip and Rolling Stones, so many great songs that are in open tunings, but it kind of takes away everything. Your scales aren't the same shapes, your chords aren't the same shapes, and so I think in open tuning you revert to a lot more trial and error and just use your ear and guide yourself around that way, which is a great way of doing it. And then of course there's slide guitar, where slide guitar uses a lot of open tunings just so that it kind of works, just having the slide if you're not using your fingers, if that makes sense. But Yeah, I was actually just playing Unchained the other day because um, I restrung the other Kiesel and it's a half step down, and so sometimes I go to D flat or C sharp and play Unchained. Yeah, DAGGAD tuning for Kashmir by Zeppelin. Like, yeah, all the shapes feel kind of strange just because in standard tuning, none of that would work. It wouldn't be played that way, but it sounds amazing in that tuning. Yeah, I'm not playing it exact because I'm not in that tuning, but it's a lot of fun when you are. A jazz radio DJ voice? I'll take it. I appreciate it. I think. A jazz radio DJ voice while he's making fun of jazz players. Be a short-lived gig. Yeah, Andy McKee. Yeah, a lot of fingerstyle guitar players, a lot of acoustic players use open tunings. I have a student who's big into fingerstyle guitar and he's looking to create his own arrangements and stuff. And it's a very difficult style because, you know, each song and each arrangement is kind of unique to itself, where there's not as much of a formula in that style. You can be in like the most odd tunings or have you see sometimes nowadays they have a capo on like some of the strings, not even all the strings, but like a capo on 3 strings, or like you're in standard tuning but the B strings down to G sharp, or you know, just weird things like that where that's not a normal thing to do, so it's just kind of like unique to that song. So yeah, it's tough with standard tune or open tuning, sorry. Should we do some improvising? You guys want to hear any improv over some backing tracks? Thank you again, guys. You don't need to do that. I do appreciate it, but you guys don't need to. I'll answer your questions. You guys don't need to do that. Yeah, if I do, I know it's tough setting up the camera. I'm not gonna lie. If I improvise, you know, I go back a little bit, but this mic only sticks out so far. That's the tough thing. Okay, sorry. To answer your question, what is the best spider walk exercise to make soloing and bar chords easier to play? I have very stiff fingers and my progress has stalled. To make soloing and bar chords easier, I don't think a spider walk exercise will help your bar chords. With bar chords, the main thing is just keep your thumb. You can see my thumb right now, but keep your thumb halfway down at the back of the neck, so like basically right in the middle of the neck, to allow your hand to be in that position. And then with your first finger, when you're barring, just kind of let it sit on its left side, or I should say on its back side, just in case you're left-handed, but rest it backwards like that. It also frees up the movement so that your fingers can reach to the other notes easier, where if you're sitting flat, you restrict all that motion. So, you know, tuck your elbow in and get your finger laying on its back. And get it pressing nice and hard on the side of the finger where you have a lot more strength because it's more bone than the front where it's a lot softer, right? So just lean back that way. But as you can see, my thumb is not up here, or else these bar chords are close to impossible, so just keep it nice and low. And then play riffs like that. That's a Lenny Kravitz one. Play riffs like that to practice your bar chords. I'm a big believer in using songs to work on your techniques. Which, to answer your question, to make soloing easier, just learn simple solos, but give yourself the added pressure of trying to play them with the track, like play with the actual music. So if it's like Smells Like Teen Spirit or, some Weezer stuff, or I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but simple solos, nothing too crazy, but try to play them with the actual track, and that will give you that added pressure where you're trying to keep up with someone. It's similar to practicing with a metronome, but instead of just hearing this for 30 minutes of your practice time, use the track. It works the same way, but it's a lot more fun, and you feel part of the band. Guys, you're very generous here. You guys don't have to be doing this. Don't start with Cliffs of Dover. No, do not start with Cliffs of Dover. Is there a good way to learn and practice the Greg Howe style horizontal vibrato? To be completely honest with you, I'm not entirely sure what you're referring to. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Those like kind of little slides. I don't know if it and correct me if I'm wrong, if it's like actual vibrato that he's doing, or if it's like these. Kind of those little almost like trill slides. You see Guthrie do that a lot, and you see Tim Henson do that a lot as well. That is a good question though, because that's a hard thing to kind of start with, and you could almost start with like little slides and like control it the whole time. It's a cool sound. Greg Howe is also super underrated. I love his music. I had the very amazing privilege of meeting him when I did Guitar Player magazine's guitar competition years ago, and he was one of the judges. And I got picture this, he went on stage and jammed with Nuno Bettencourt at the gig, and it was just Greg Howe and Nuno Bettencourt jamming together, no band, just the two of them riffing off of each other. It was pretty crazy, but his style is just so smooth, it's wild. Another great question here. Do you have any tips for doing vibrato during bends? So vibrato, whether you're bending or not, is a technique that most people just start off trying to do way too fast. And, with other techniques like sweep picking or alternate picking, or just really anything, even tapping, it's more obvious that it takes practice and patience to get it fast. But with vibrato, everyone just wants to jump to like crazy fast. That B.B. King. And it's like all other techniques where you just have to start slow. And the most important thing with vibrato is being able to control it. So start really slow, bend the string either way, meaning go down or go up. Don't do both like some people. That's really weird and awkward. So go one way and just start slow. Get it controlled. don't let the hand tense up and freeze up because you're going too fast and then it doesn't move, you know? I personally keep it in the wrist like I do with my bends. Now, also with vibrato, it's such an overlooked technique. I should do a full lesson video on vibrato because it's something that most players don't even consciously think of regularly. I've done this to a couple students recently where if I notice that their vibrato is being unconsciously done, so, you know, if they're improvising and it's all... and it's like every other note is the same vibrato, I have them practice doing a solo and no vibrato is allowed. They have to improvise over a backing track and they can't vibrato. And like 9 out of 10 guitar players fail this miserably. And the point of that is that obviously I would never say don't do vibrato in a guitar solo because it's a very expressive tool. It really makes the note kind of sing a little bit more, but you have to be doing it consciously. You have to make the decision to add vibrato and not just let the muscle memory take over and everything's this wild. It's too much, right? It's just too much of the same thing. So it's the same thing with bending. When you do bends, now also with bending and vibrato, I bend and then release the note. And you can go different distances. But I release the note. So I'm not bending it higher than the pitch, but I'm releasing it. And again, just start slow. It's a lot harder than it looks to really control it while also not letting the note sound flat. This one's with some distortion, it would sound better, but you don't want the note sounding like it loses its pitch. Hopefully that answers your question and makes sense. But yes, vibrato is so overlooked. Someone mentioned that you'd like to see, would love to see a Patreon vibrato lesson next week. Next week, that's what we're doing, just because it's so important. That will probably be the name of the video. This technique is so important. Hi, Jamie. I've been learning the cage system. I'm struggling in how to approach the chord tone of each upcoming chord. Yeah. How can I improve in making my phrases seem like whole ideas over different chords? This is I'm only laughing because this is a question I get all the time, and I think in every live stream I get this question. It's such a good question, and this is the struggle that when people learn cage shapes and they learn all that stuff, triads and everything, this is the struggle that the problem that everyone gets into when improvising. This is my personal advice, okay? Is that when I'm improvising, I could tell you how all the notes I'm playing relates to the chord. I could tell you if it's the second or the fourth or the fifth or the third, but I'm not thinking about that. I'm not making those decisions consciously in real time. And so what I mean is when you see a lot of videos where it says like target the third of every chord, is what over the progression, play the third of every chord. That is a good exercise. That is a good thing to challenge yourself and see if you can do it. Do you know what the third is? Do you know where it is on the fretboard? And do you know how to get to it? Great exercise. When actually improvising, you don't do that at all. That would be bad advice for good improv, right? You want to be flowing with the melody. Now, also, another reason I don't like this teaching, not the cage system, by the way, but just the teaching of targeting chord tones specifically, is that you would never want to restrict which notes you have at your disposal when improvising. So you can make every note in the scale work over every chord in the key, arguably even beyond that with chromatics. But every note has a purpose, right? Now, if I'm playing only chord tones, if I'm targeting the third and the root, especially the root, by the way, and I'm just playing the root of each chord as it moves, that's kind of the least interesting note I can choose because it's not adding anything to the context of the song, if that makes sense, to harmony. Me personally, I find it more interesting sometimes to play notes that are not in the chord to add to the chord. So what I mean is if you're playing a minor chord and the chord is the 1, 3rd, and 5th, and I play a second or a ninth, it's the same note, I'm adding to that chord. I'm making it sound, instead of just B minor and then just playing B. Again, that's not bad. It's not going to sound bad, but it's not adding anything. But if I play the ninth, that note in the melody is actually adding to the chord, right? Or if you play like a major chord, if I play, in this case, it's going to be the same note, but if I play the 7th, then I'm adding to that chord. So never ever restrict the notes that you can use over chords. And sometimes the chord tones themselves are actually the most boring notes because they're already being played in the chord. And also and again, just to be clear, playing the 3rd or the root or the 5th will sound good over the chord, like it will work, right? But if you only do that over every chord, then you're never going to have any sort of tension in your melody. It's just going to be a pleasing note every single time. And really, a lot of the most interesting melodies require a little bit of tension so that it keeps you engaged and kind of anticipating where the melody is going to go, and you're waiting for that resolve. And then when it does happen, it's like, there it is. There's the note I was looking for, right? So yeah, don't restrict yourself. Again, it can make a good exercise to challenge yourself. Like if I'm playing D and G and A and B minor, do you know the 3rd of each of those chords and where it would be? That's a great exercise. But when you're actually improvising or soloing, yeah, you don't want to be thinking that way. Here is what I do with students, by the way, is this is also why personally I like improvising over tracks where I don't know what chord is coming next. So I can't target chord tones even if I wanted to. I can only react to it after I've heard it, right? And I find that better because, again, you're not sacrificing the current bar to get ready for the next bar. That's the worst part, where it's like, I have to hit the 3rd of the next chord that's coming, so I'm just going to wait to hit that note. Where currently you're not playing anything interesting because you're just trying to anticipate that note change. So it doesn't make for good melodies. So what I would do with students is start on a note over a track and don't move from that note until your ear tells you where to go. It's really hard, but don't even target anything. Just, does your ear want you to go up? Does it want it to go down? Think that way. So I'm just using my ear of kind of going where I want to go from there. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's see if I can. Here, let me move the camera back a bit. Is that better? It's hard to get in this angle with this stand here. Yes, Eugene is absolutely right. Some say imagine the melody in your head and try to play it. So some of the best melodies guitar players come up with sometimes are not even played on the guitar, or not written on the guitar, I should say. Steve Vai's For the Love of God, he actually came up with that by singing that melody over the chords. So that's kind of why it's a little bit awkward to play on the guitar, because he actually wrote it with his voice, right? So it's a great way to get you thinking of new melodies and stuff, is by not even using the guitar. Try to sing a melody and then put it on. So, and actually, I haven't done one of these in a while, but those kind of silly videos that I used to do of when you show up to your guitar lesson early and I'm playing these like hard rock metalized versions of pop songs. And in those videos, I always say, "Oh, I'm just working on, or I'm just learning pop melodies to work on my phrasing." That is actually a little bit of a educational tidbit there in those videos, is that's a great way to work on your phrasing, is to learn vocal melodies, learn pop melodies, because sometimes they're actually quite simple melodies, but they're so effective and they're phrased so well that it gets stuck in your head for the rest of the day. And that's really what, we're trying to achieve, are these memorable melodies. So that's a great way to work on your phrasing, is learn those melodies. Any advice for someone who lacks creativity? I've played for 20 years, but never been able to compose a single song. Why I love the instrument, I'm struggling to want to play others' music. You probably, I can imagine, I can guess that you don't lack creativity. You may just be, how do I say this? Let's use the compose a single song. It's very easy to overthink that. And what I would do is start with anytime you're composing anything, doesn't matter what it is, start really, really simple. Let's do it right now, just for fun. Let's do, let's say we're just going to take two chords, E minor and C, and that's it. Now already, if I put it in an interesting rhythm, I'm not adding any notes. Now, that's a perfect bed right there to start putting a melody over top, or to start making it more interesting in some way. Now, even with the guitar itself, obviously I could have another guitar add a melody. it starts to become a little more interesting so far. But what you could also do that I was kind of doing there was start to try to embellish those chords. So uh, the whole point of this is start really simple. Start off with just a very small idea and just see if you can expand on it and make it into something that you're really excited about. But you don't have to be that like creative to do it. You just have to just keep trying things and see what you come up with. So like maybe I would pick through those chords. Right. So you just start, playing with it and playing with it, and you can make it as complex as you want or as simple as you want, but you just keep playing with it until you come up with something that kind of excites you. All those practice etudes that I post, all those little like picking ones that of course I won't remember how I played any of them now, but I don't know if you guys would have seen that, but like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I posted a practice etude that goes like that to work on your picking. But how I come up with those, how I compose those is I just honestly sit there with like a little bit of an idea, like an arpeggio or a key or something or a progression. And I just kind of keep fiddling with it and playing with it. And I don't like that. I do like this, or maybe it goes here, or maybe the rhythm's like this, or it's groups of threes instead of groups of fours or whatever, right? It's just on and on of these trial and error ideas until I come up with something that I'm like, I like the sound of it. That's pretty cool. No, that's not how it goes. Oh my God. I don't know my own practice etude. The funny thing is, I'm not going to lie, is like a lot of the times when I post those etudes or covers, especially when I play a cover, it's like the last time I've ever played it is in that video. And so I have to like go back and like relearn it when people ask how it goes. All right, I do have to run in a few minutes here, but if you guys have any more questions, I'm happy to answer them. It's a lot of fun always jumping on here and chatting with you guys. No, I'm not Scottish. I don't believe I have much Scottish background, actually. My dad is from England. Who would be a dream for you to play live with? I always say a joke that with my life and the family and everything, it would actually take a lot for me to go on tour again and to like be on the road a lot of the time. It would be hard to do that. But I always joke that if Paul McCartney called me and was like, hey, I need you to play guitar for me, I'd be like, I will pay you to be in your band. You don't even have to pay me for the gigs. I will pay you to be your guitar player. Um, but yeah, no, playing live with so many great guitar players or great musicians. Anybody really. Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun with so many people. I am from Toronto, I will say. I'm just about an hour outside of Toronto. No, you can't turn down Paul. Imagine going on tour and just playing Beatles music every night with an actual Beatle. Like, that's just the absolute dream. It does not get more fun than that. What has better clean, this guitar or the Numbers guitar? That's a good question. The Numbers guitar has a very nice clean, especially on like the fourth position, like I'm on right now. I do really like the pickups in the Numbers guitar, but I do prefer these pickups just a little bit more, just a bit more. I would take these pickups, but the Duncans that come in that guitar are very, very nice. Like great pickups. It's just if I am A and Bing the two guitars back and forth, like I would probably choose these pickups. Oh, nice. You're in Niagara Falls. Very nice. What do I think of progressive metal? Yeah, I love it. I listen to all styles of music. I really do. I know that sounds like a cliche thing to say, but I really do. And there's a time and place for everything. And yeah, a lot of the progressive stuff, and especially metal, like I probably don't listen to as much of it as I used to when I was younger, but it's so much fun to play. You know, if students bring in some complex metal stuff that they're working on, it's like, oh man, this is so much fun. You know, it's like a fun workout, you know. And even if it's not a technical thing, like just, you know, heavy riffs that just feel good, you know, it's always a lot of fun to play. Yes, these are the Tone Zone and Aaron Norton DiMarzio pickups. Oh man, jamming on stage with Paul Gilbert would be crazy. That would be so much fun. That is part of my goal, by the way, is someone else asked, am I in a band at the moment or have some guys? So, you know, I used to do a ton of performing and session stuff and gigging for years, right? That was like what I did. Um, and now with the content stuff doing very well and building up a following and stuff, I'm wanting to slowly get that rolling again in the sense of being able to release some original music and record it properly and really do it nice. But part of the goal is to use the following or, you know, anything I can to get some really cool features on the music. So it would be amazing to have, you know, some guitar players that I love and look up to and have them featured on a song or collaborate with them in some way. That is part of the goal. So, you know, who knows? You know, maybe we'll see that in 2025. Hopefully. Out of all of your guitars, which is your favorite? That's a tough one just because they're all unique. They're all different. And I don't know if you guys can see in the video, maybe if I get out of the way, the Type X guitar back there in the corner. But that's such a different guitar than like say the CS6 or, you know, some of the other guitars. But I love that guitar so much. It's so comfortable to play. I was actually recording some stuff with it last night. So every guitar has like its role and its purpose. This is the one I pick up the most. And then the new Kiesel, the CSB, SCB, what am I saying? SCB. That is one of my favorites too. A funny thing, the only reason I picked this one up like to teach with on a daily basis is because of the raw tone finish. As you can see, like I don't have to worry about fingerprints and smudging it up and getting it dirty and stuff. So with the SCB, since it has the gloss finish, which I wanted and asked for, um, I polish it more and I try to keep it clean and everything. So this is the one that I grab every single day to teach with and jam most of the time. But the CS6, the Les Paul style guitar, is also a go-to for sure. I just restrung it the other night, just play it all the time. Oh, thank you. The solo for the 6 song. I appreciate that. Want to hear a funny story about that, by the way? So it was there. I did not know that song. I actually didn't know the band either at the time. And their record label or publicity company reached out to me saying, we have this new single. Would you do a guitar cover to promote it on like TikTok and stuff? And I checked it out and really liked it. I thought it was so cool. And then there was that bridge that was empty. There was no vocals or anything. So I replied saying, well, how about I do a guitar solo on it? And they were like, well, show us what you had in mind. And I recorded it and they really liked it. And so that was like a kind of paid promotion to promote the song. Here's the funny part is that I went to upload it on TikTok and it got removed for copyright, even though it was the copyright holders who told me to do it in the first place. It was a really weird thing where it's like, wait a second, how are we going to get around this? Where, it got removed. I tried uploading it a couple times and stuff. And, it's not on Instagram. It's on YouTube. It's still live on YouTube, but it got taken down off TikTok, which was kind of funny because it was like the whole point was to put that up on TikTok and promote the song. But it was a super fun song to play over and jam over. Yeah, it was awesome. All right, before I go, I do have to run it in a minute here, but I haven't actually done an improv, and I always like to do an improv. So if you guys don't mind, let's do a little playing, a little fun. I'm on that split coil. And let's choose a random backing track here. Again, going back to earlier, I like to not know what the track is going to do. So all I know is this says guitar backing track in G minor. That's all I know. I don't know the chords. And then just respond to it, react to it, see what happens. Listen to the track, get the vibe. Gotta turn it up. fun. That was a cool track. That was, just a shout out, the Elevated Jam Tracks. Always a good channel for backing tracks. Now, unfortunately, guys, I do have to run in a second here. Any quick questions, like one or two quick questions? Anybody else holding their lighters up in their living room? That's a hilarious image. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Mario. Last streaming, I asked you for Legato books. You recommended me one of your videos. I watched it, and now I feel a lot better with my technique. I love to hear that. I really do. Thank you. I'm glad it helped. Yeah. Yeah, modes are hard. Absolutely. Modes are very, very hard to learn on your own, by the way. So if you're interested, you could sign up for a free trial to my Patreon page, because I post weekly lesson videos, and I have a whole modes masterclass video on there where it's like, I think it's like 15 minutes or something like that. And it really takes you through a deep understanding of modes and how to use them, how to apply them, and how I approach them, how I teach them. So you could always check that out. It's a very hard thing to learn on your own, but yeah, I'm glad that video was helpful. That's so cool to hear. All right, guys, I do have to run. I appreciate all of you hanging out with me tonight and asking some really fun questions and fun chatting. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, the Patreon page, by the way, just to put it out there, the Patreon page is not a hey, support me and help me out sort of thing. I post a lot of exclusive content on there. It's basically because I had so many people reaching out to me for lessons that weren't able to find spots just because my schedule is so full, that I started doing that. I started making the Patreon for that, where on Patreon people are able to message me directly, ask questions, and now even get one-on-one lessons, because each week now I'm opening up a few spots for people to get one-on-one lessons with me. So it's supposed to be more of a direct access, request lessons, and each week I post a lesson video or topic, also tabs for videos, all that fun stuff. So I appreciate you guys joining the page, and again, take advantage of it. Message me questions you have, message me for any advice you want. I reply to everyone on Patreon. And it's a smaller community that's a lot of fun to just have that more direct access with. There's also a chat service that is really fun, because a lot of the members chat among themselves and share gear and advice and ask questions and stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's a really cool little community. So I'm working hard to make that grow bigger and bigger. So I appreciate any of you checking it out and joining. Thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. You guys are always a blast, and hopefully you enjoyed and it was fun. And I do this, I don't know. I don't want to say every Saturday just in case, but I like to do this on the weekend and join on and jam with you guys. So I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you all, and I will see you guys in the next live stream.